Hey, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to TCG Madness, the channel that is all TCG all the time. And in today's video, we are taking a look at yet another Star Wars Unlimited budget deck. Now, again, we all know Star Wars Unlimited, very expensive. I am doing my best to bring you guys some fun, budget-friendly decks. And today we have a Space Pirate Boba Fett deck that is very, very budget-friendly, very fun to play. You will get this deck for under $40, and just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and take you to a website, SWUnlimiteddb.com, which is a way that you guys can create decks, and then I'm going to show you guys how to export your deck and put it into a tabletop simulator for Star Wars Unlimited, where you can play against an AI opponent and actually test out these decks yourselves, see how fun they are, all that kind of stuff. And I will actually be bringing you guys some content of that as well later. But today, just strictly talking about the deck, budget-friendly, under $40. And if you like this type of content, you want to see more, please do me the big favor, hit that like button. If you're new, consider hitting that subscribe button as well. While you're at it, hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a video. Now, onward to the deck itself. All right, you guys, we are now here at SWUnlimiteddb.com. I will leave links down below to everything I'm using here in this video. I know in the past two videos that I made with Star Wars Unlimited, I did StarWarsUnlimited.com. The different thing about this website in particular is you can create a deck, save it, and then you can export it directly to a tabletop simulator called tableforce.com, and then you can actually play with your deck. So that's really, really cool. So from now on, I'm going to use this website specifically. Unless, of course, I take away that feature, then I'll probably go back to Star Wars Unlimited. So the deck here is Space Pirate Boba. Real quick, all about Boba Fett, yellow, black, nothing different. But the cool thing about this one is, number one, this deck is super budget friendly, like super budget friendly. And also too, it relies heavily on space units. One thing I have noticed playing Star Wars Unlimited, there's a lot of powerful ground units. One thing to counteract that is to really just outfly and outmaneuver your opponent in the air. Heavily involved space units. There's not a lot of them. There's definitely more ground units than there are space units. Which is really good but yellow has a lot of space units in them and a lot of very cheap space units. So we're relying heavily on space units. That's our first win con. And then there's a second win con here. We're also relying heavily on ambush. Why? Because Boba Fett works very good with ambushing your opponent. I'm going to show you why. So of course, Boba Fett, this is the back. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the front of him. So here's Boba Fett, his front side. When an enemy unit leaves play, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, ready a resource. So that's right there. It's pretty good advantage, but you have to actually defeat an opponent's unit. You have to actually make sure that unit leaves play. Basically, if it's a ground unit, it's got to leave and go to the discard pile, basically. If you can do that, you can exhaust the leader and you can ready up another resource, which is very good here, because the reason why green right now is so powerful is because there's Vader, which is really powerful card, but also to the Space Laser Technician, which allows you to just, the second he's defeated, he goes right into your resource, which is really powerful. So being able to ramp in this game is very important right now, and being that green does it the best, you need to be able to counter it. Yellow also does it pretty well with Boba Fett. His backside, when he deploys, he is a 5-drop, doesn't really matter. His power and his health, he's a 4/7, pretty good. When this unit completes an attack, this is very key, when a unit completes an attack. If an enemy unit left play this phase, ready up 2 resources. So again, you need to be able to defeat your opponent. If you have something that you can defeat, you want to be able to do that. Readying up 2 resources is very crucial. With readying up 2 resources, we need to be able to actually get the most bang for our buck. So with that, we have to go with a 30 health base. So we got the Administrator's Tower. No particular reason, just put that one in there. So on with the actual units themselves, starting off with the space units. We have the Boba Fett's Fire Spray. It's a very good space unit. It costs 6. It's a 5/6, so it's very powerful. When played, if you control Boba or Jango Fett as a leader or unit, very crucial, ready this unit. That's very good. And then also has a secondary action. Cost 2, exhaust a non-unique unit. So you can pretty much tap down something of your opponent, which is very good, and then allowing you to just go in and do 5 damage or something, or just, obliterate some kind of ground space unit. Very good. The fact that the thing has 6 health is also very good. There's not a lot of things that can do 6 damage at once, so pretty good there. We actually got 2 copies of that one. Next up is the Chimera. Cost 8. This is also one of your other big win cons as well. If the game goes on long enough and you're able to deploy this, it's going to be very good for you. It is an 8/7. It has shielded, which is fantastic. and it has on attack, name a card, and opponent reveals their hand and discards a card with that name from it. There is a combo piece that I will show you. Again, if the game goes long enough and you're able to deploy this, I will show you a very, very powerful combo you can do with this. However, though, if it doesn't go that long, it's still a very good unit to deploy an 8/7 in the air, no less. Next up, we have a very cheap, cost-efficient one. We have the Mining Guild TIE Fighter. Cost 1, 1, 2, pretty good there. But it has on attack, you can pay 2 if you do draw a card. You really don't want to do that a lot because paying 2 resources, honestly, it'd be better if it was just 1 resource. This card would actually be a lot better. But you can still pay 2 if you don't see what you like in your hand and you need something powerful and you're searching your deck for something. If you want to pay that 2, definitely something to think about. 3 copies of that one because it is a 1-drop cost-efficient card. Next up, we have the Pirated Starfighter. It has Raid 1, and it's a 2/4. So 2 power, 4 health, pretty good. It does have Raid 1. This unit gets +1, +0 while attacking, so essentially becomes a 3/4. Return a friendly non-leader unit to its owner's hand. Now, you might be asking yourself, why is that important? The reason why that is actually important, if you have something that may die this turn, you know your opponent's probably going to attack it and get it off the board, you might want to bounce that back to your hand. Or if you have something that also says, when played, do something really good, you might want to keep bouncing that card back into your hand. So having something that can actually do that for you is actually really good without losing it. 3 copies of that one, pretty good card. This is also one of the cards I think is sneaky good. I think it actually might be one of the best cards in the deck. This is a 4-drop. It's a Starfing Gunship. It's a 3/4, and it has this unit can attack units in the ground area, which is fantastic. If your opponent does not have space units but has a lot of ground units and you're out, he's out grounding you, and you have, like, let's say you only have 1 ground unit, your opponent maybe has 3, 4, 5. If you play this can actually get you out of some jams. Also, too, while this unit is attacking a ground unit, the defender gets -2, -0. So really, really good there. Can really, like, I'm thinking of all the Stormtroopers. I think of the C-3POs, R2-D2s, the Yodas of the world. Those cards, they can really outground you, especially if you're playing against, like, a Vader deck and he has a lot of Stormtroopers. Most Stormtroopers have either 2 or 3 power. So because of that, you can actually reduce it down to 0 and just really obliterate your opponent. Definitely a very, very, very good card. You need 3 copies of this one, I think, absolutely. Next up is a 5-drop Syndicate Lackey. Pretty standard 5/4, but it has Ambush. This is one of the cards I was talking about. Ambush is very good synergy with Boba Fett. You want to play something and start reducing your opponent's cards. The reason why, too, is if, let's say, something has like 6 health or somebody put an upgrade on something. If it has that 6 or above health, playing this guy, you can immediately start attacking your opponent, ambushing your opponent. Another good combo with that then is to then immediately tackle Boba Fett, and then you can ready up your resources. So Ambush is very good in this deck. 2 copies of that one because it is a little more cost efficient. Next up is the Gamorrean Guards. This is a 4-drop. It's a 4/4. Has Sentinel. Again, Sentinel speaks for itself. If you play something in the ground area, they have to attack that before attacking your base. Sentinel is also very good with Boba Fett because they are forced to attack this, and then you can clean house of Boba Fett and get those resources ready up. Really, really like that as well. Next up is Crafty Smuggler. He's a 2/2, but he gets shielded. So cost efficient, and he gets shield, so at least you're going to have at least 1 attack. You should have 1 attack with him. Pretty good there. 2 copies of that one. Here is the card that also is very good for the win con. 3 copies of a 5-drop Bosk Deadly Stalker. I love this card a lot, especially if you can put some upgrades on him. Oh my god, he's really good. He is a 4/5. He has Ambush. We've already talked about it. Ambush, very good. When you play an event, you may deal 2 damage to a unit. I have some really good events in this deck as well. And again, yellow just has some very good space unit. Also has some very good event cards as well. Some of the most powerful ones that are also cost efficient and cheap. So it's just a very good budget friend deck that you can play. It is a 4/5 again. You definitely want 3 copies of Bosk. Next up is a very high cost efficient 6-drop Bounty Hunter Crew. They have Ambush. Again, excellent. It's a 4/4, and it has, when played, you may return an event from your discard pile to its owner's hand. Now, I just talked about cards that say when played. So you noticed we have that card that says when played, and then you go back to the Pirated Starfighter. When played, return a friendly non-leader unit to its hand. So if you were able to get Bounty Hunter Crew off twice and bounce it back to your hands, Maybe you play Bounty Hunter Crew, maybe you have 8, maybe then you play Pirate Starcraft, get the Bounty Hunter Crew back to your hand, you play it again. Maybe there's a event that you just need more than once out of your discard pile. Maybe you don't want Bounty Hunter Crew to get, maybe they do their ambush, they attack something, they take out a little lonely ground unit, then you play Pirated Starfighter to play Bounty Hunter Crew next turn. Maybe you get another good event back in your hand. That extra added ability is so good in this game, guys. It's very underrated, I think, right now. And I think it's one way that you could really just mess up your opponent. Next up, 3 copies of 7th Fleet Defender. It's another good space unit. Cost efficient, so 3, pretty cost efficient there. The 3/2, so it's pretty strong, but it has shielded. So that 3 power plus shielded, you should be able to take out a unit or 2, or at least get 6 damage onto your opponent's base. Next up is another space unit, the Cartel Spacer. It's a 2-drop, so cost efficient. It's a 2/3, so I like that it has 3 health there. But it has a very good ability. It says when played, again, another when played unit here. If you control another hunting unit, exhaust an enemy unit that costs 4 or less. Tapping down things for your opponents, also very good. And again, that mixed with the Pirated Starfighter, if you have 6 resources, you can actually do that twice to your opponent, and they'll have no way to respond to that. They're very, very good. The whole when played mixed with the Pirated Starfighter, that you can bounce something back to your hand and just get that added ability. Plus, if you eliminate something with Boba Fett, now you can ready up 2 more resources. You can just do it again and again, and you may be able to do this 2 times or 3 times in one round. Very, very sneaky good for Boba Fett here. Next up, ISB Agent. When played, you may, again, another when played card, guys. When played, you may reveal an event from your hand. If you do, deal 1 damage to a unit. The really cool thing about this one is that it's super cost efficient at 1. So you can reveal an event, do 1 damage, maybe you bounce back in, maybe do another damage to it, maybe you actually get something off the board, or you at least set up Boba Fett for that kill shot that we need, because that's what we're talking about. 2 copies of that one. I honestly, this card, I was thinking going back and forth between this one and the Crafty Smuggler. I was debating on going, to 3 on these guys, and that's something that you guys can comment down below where you guys think I missed some stuff. Maybe add an extra copy of this one, add an extra copy of that one. Maybe there are cards that I didn't add in this deck that you're like, hey man, I think you should really add this to your deck. I think it might spice it up a little bit. Put it all down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Next up is one of the upgrades that we have in the deck. This is the Smuggling Compartment. It's attached to a vehicle unit, so all the space units are compatible with this, so it's really good. Attached unit gains on attack ready resource. This, with all of these space units, this is like the golden pig of the deck right here. This is the golden card. I really do think like this is something you want to probably see in your opening hand, I would imagine, and it's cost efficient. To have on attack ready up a resource, you can really gain some extra value there with Boba Fett. Definitely got to have 3 copies of that in your deck. Next up is Snapshot Reflexes, another cost-efficient 1-drop, but it gives you +1/+1, and when played, you may attack with the attached unit. Excellent with Boba Fett, and excellent with just about any other ground unit. Next up is the Viper Probe Droid. We got 3 copies of this guy. He's a 2-drop, 3/2, when played, look at an opponent's hand. Having knowledge of what's in your opponent's hand so you can game plan for some future surprise attacks maybe, or this goes very well with the Chimera card that I showed you guys early on. That right there, you can immediately see their opponent's hand, then you can name a card, an opponent reveals their hand, and boom, has to discard it. That can actually win you a game when you know something's coming. You're like, I have no answer for this. This might be the only answer and the only shot I get to getting rid of that before it's played on me. It can really, really get you out in a jam here. By the way, too, it's also, again, if your game's going longer, chances are your opponent's eventually going to find some answer to everything you're doing. If that's the answer and you have to get rid of it, that's a great way to get rid of it. Now we're going to move on to the events. We have No Good to Me Dead. Exhaust the unit. That unit can't ready this round. Pretty good. Just tapping down your opponent right there so they can't do stuff. That's another way to answer something. Next up, 3 copies of Shoot First. I love this card. It's cost efficient, and it has attack with the unit. It gets +1/+0 for the attack, and it deals combat damage before the defender. In other words, it's basically, think of Magic the Gathering, think of First Strike. That right there, and it also has in quotations, if the defender is defeated, it deals no combat damage to you. This is also another excellent card with Boba Fett. I freaking love this card so much. It works so well with Boba Fett especially, and it works pretty well with just about everybody else in this deck. All right, moving on to the next card is Don't Get Cocky. This is a very fun gambling card that you can play with. This is a card that maybe you want to just maybe get out of. I totally get that. This is probably one card that I would, you know, reduce or get out of the deck in general and just maybe bump up some other couple of 2s to 3s. But I like this card. It was a fun card for me to add in there. It says choose a unit, one at a time, reveal cards from your deck until you choose to stop or reveal 7 cards. If the combined cost of the revealed cards is 7 or less, deal that much damage to the chosen unit. Put the revealed cards on the bottom of your deck in a random order. It's a fun card to just gamble with. It is cost efficient at 4, so it is fun to play, especially early on, to do some damage to something and remove it. This is also a great card to play though when your opponent's leader is deployed. This is something that can actually, you know, get rid of them, and maybe you just don't get too cocky, right? Maybe you only stop when you see, you know, maybe someone reveals top card and you're like, you see a 6 drop and you're like, all right, done right there. Just stop right there, you know, do 6 damage or something. Would you do 6 damage to play a 4 drop? I mean, I think a lot of people would, because most 4 drops that do damage, think of like Open Fire, they usually just do 4 damage to a unit. There's not a lot of cards that do more than 4 damage to something. Other than Vanquish. Vanquish does eliminate a non-leader unit, so there's that as well, but that's a 5 drop. And the last but not least, we have 2 copies of Disarm. Give an enemy unit -4, -0 for this phase. I like this card. It costs 1. It also will help you prevent the putting damage on a Boba Fett, which is something that you, again, when your leader gets deployed, guys, one thing you got to remember that your opponent's going to immediately go for that. So anything you can do to prevent that from happening and prolong it is something that you're really going to need, because the longer your leader's out, the more damage you can do, the more things you can do. And this is a great way to do that, just disarming your opponent. So that is the deck. Now we're going to go ahead and show you guys real quick here. It's in deck in its entirety, and you guys can see right here on the upper right, this deck will run you $26.51. We are coming well under that $40 budget, you guys. I mean, I love that this deck is super inexpensive, and this is a fun deck that you can play. It's a fun little Boba Fett deck, and Boba Fett's a fun leader to play with. And here, as you can see, we have 7 ground units, 7 space units, 4 different events, 2 upgrades. So we got a very nice even split. Now I'm going to show you guys, this is it's called Force Table. This is what I was talking about right here. So you can export this to a tabletop simulator just by hitting that button. And if you make a account on this Force Table website, it's another thing that you can do. Just by clicking that, boom, your deck is now exported, and you can play with this deck, and then you can hit this one, select player 2, and you can actually do an AI behavior, so you can do default, aggro, or control. And you can test out these decks, and it's super fun, and it's a great way to build a deck, test it out, see if you like it, and see what you would make upgrades to it, what kind of upgrades you would do to it, what would you beef up. Maybe you would add something from a 2 to maybe you put a more 3 in there. So these are all great tools, and again, it's just a great way to play Star Wars Unlimited absolutely free. I highly recommend you making accounts for both of them. I will leave links down below in the description box to all of this, and it's really fun. I'll show you guys what it looks like real quick, and there it is. You can play the game, and there's some little bugs to it, but for the most part, it runs super smooth. It's a great tool. I highly recommend using it. Build a bunch of decks, build hundreds of decks, try them all out, play against them, build a deck and play against that deck that you just built. That's also a fun way to play the game. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. I will be bringing you guys content of this. I'll be playing with a bunch of these decks now because I think this is just an excellent tool to use. And again, until Star Wars Unlimited becomes cheaper, I highly recommend just keep doing this, play against an AI. It's fun. That is going to do it for this video. As always, guys, please hit that like button if you're new. Consider hitting that subscribe button. Comment down below if there's anything you would change about the deck, and let me know what you guys maybe want to see next. We've worked on 3 different villain decks. I'll probably start working on some of the hero decks next, bringing you guys some budget-friendly decks. And the reason why I'm doing all this is just because Star Wars Unlimited is very expensive, and until it comes down and physical cards become cheaper, I think this is a great tool to use, and I highly recommend using it. That's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys next time.